Hey everyone, great to see you. We'll get started in another minute. Let folks hop online. Hi Darren. Um, Take Darren's lead and say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're calling in from, and then we'll get started in a moment or so. This is a 45-minute webinar, so we want, because it's late in the day for most of us, so we want to provide you with info, but get you back to your daily lives as well. All right, let's see who is here. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Susie. I was just talking to you yesterday. Hey, everyone. Hi, Rachel. Great to see you all. Noah, Jillian, Bart, Erin, Robin. Hey, Robin.
And since we're talking about weather today, if any of you have
Oh,
some fun
yeah.
weather, because we've had quite the weird weather the last couple days, if
Yeah.
anyone wants to
Right,
share, feel free to
true.
put that in the chat.
Did they get snow in Jacksonville, Jillian? Because that's kind of northish. Where did that snow squall stop? I'm curious.
I'm going to show a map in my talk here today, so you'll get to see.
Oh, cool. All right, Noah. Well, I'll let it be a surprise then. Okay, let's get started. So welcome, welcome. Too far south. Okay, says Jillian. Too bad. I know it was kind of fun, I feel like, for people. I know Round Rock had my sister's in Austin, so I know Round Rock was under some ice. Montana's always snowy and cold at this time of year. Yeah, Philly, I'm in Philly and it's very icy, and it was 7 degrees this morning, so cold, very cold. Okay, and that's why I sound like this. Sick, cold, it's just that time of year. All right, ambassadors. So welcome to this new series that we've launched called Beyond the BioBlitz, and a sister series called Ambassador Insight to really help you dive into some of the projects on SciStarter. It's complementary to Emma's live that she does, but these are really designed for ambassadors because you all have a slightly different objective to participating in these projects, which is to help introduce your communities to citizen science and to various projects. And BioBlitz is really popular, and we know that. But we want to help you see beyond the BioBlitz, and imagine how some other projects can lead to really interesting community-based programming. And we have wonderful speakers today to help you do that. So what are the goals of this series? Next bullet, please. Foster interactive and informal engagement within the ambassador network. So please use the chat. We've limited the audio and the visual just for distraction, but also, we could always put it back on later on in the series or in the event if we want to share. Provide opportunity to connect with experts, which you're going to hear from Noah today, to ask questions and gain insights. Encourage knowledge sharing between you all as you develop programs and facilitate in the community. We want to hear how things are going. So this series is an opportunity for that. And then always, as always, gather feedback if something is not working. We want to hear about it so that we can improve and serve you better. So that's the goals for this Ambassador Insight series and the Beyond the BioBlitz series. So we've invited all SciStarter ambassadors today, both certified and non-certified ambassadors. So those of you who are certified, you know who you are, I hope, because you're featured on the SciStarter Ambassador Directory. And so in order to become certified, you'll have completed the Foundations tutorial, the SciStarter Ambassador tutorial, applied and had been accepted and passed a third-party screening process. And then you're featured on the Ambassador Directory, and you have agreed to host at least 2 events in 2025, or support 2 events in 2025 with community partners, one of which is during Citizen Science Month coming up in April. And then there's also non-certified ambassadors here who are folks that have completed those first 2 steps and are interested in supporting their communities, but may not have completed the application to become certified, or may not be qualified because they are not US based. Right now, the ambassador program, because of how it's funded, is only for US based individuals. But if you have done both and want to become certified and get the welcome kit and be listed on the directory to to support others so that others can reach out to you, you can apply. We are still recruiting for cohort 3, and there's going to be more cohorts after that. So if you have any questions about that program and you're not a certified ambassador, please go ahead and type that in the chat. But I do see a lot of certified ambassadors here today. Welcome to all. Okay, I'm going to pass it to Emma now to introduce our speaker and take us through the first of the Beyond the BioBlitz deep dives, CoCoRaHS.
Awesome. Great. So I'm really excited that we all get to be here and talk about a specific topic. And oh, I see a note in the chat. Actually, I'll go ahead and answer that really fast. If you're in cohort 2, which I believe, yes, awesome. Yep, they were shipped out today. We had a backlog because of the holidays and students were helping us and they left for the holidays. And so we didn't have people to build the kits. So they got sent out today. So you should be getting it soon. Thank you for mentioning that. Anyhow, so today we're talking about CoCoRaHS. We're excited to be able to focus on specific projects to be able to kind of direct you towards being able to do a program in that way. And we're doing CoCoRaHS because it's very timely with the weather being so funky. And so if you do have questions, we want to welcome you to put it in the chat. As soon as you think of them, go ahead and drop them in the chat. We might not be able to answer them in real time, but we'll be keeping a track of all the questions so we can answer them very soon. And I'll go ahead and let Noah do a better introduction of himself, but I've met Noah in person. It was very fun at SciAC to say hello. While he was walking around with the rain gauge and also a hail like monitoring device that's just DIY. So it was really exciting to meet you. And we know that he is a main person on CoCoRaHS and also works at the Colorado State University campus in Denver. Apologies.
In Fort Collins, actually.
Fort
Yeah.
Collins. Oh, I'm just totally wrong. Sorry
It's
about
okay.
that.
Nope. Colorado State University. There's about an hour north of Denver.
Oh, gotcha. Is there anything else you'd like to say to introduce yourself before we shift into actual projects?
I've been with CoCoRaHS for just over 15 years, and I'm just delighted to be here and excited to be part of this series. And I'm just CoCoRaHS and SciStarter have been partners for a number of years, and we're big fans of you guys. And so thanks so much for inviting me today.
Awesome. Sweet. And now the next couple slides, before I go into those, I'm actually going to drop my screen share for a second so we can just talk face to face about the project. For anyone who's done the project CoCoRaHS, feel free to drop a line in the chat to share if you have, because that is really good information to know, to see if we have any people familiar in case you might be able to share what your experience has been too. So before we get started, what does CoCoRaHS stand for?
Yeah, that's the best part, right? We're definitely a mouthful of an acronym. CoCoRaHS stands for the Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network. So we're all things precipitation when it comes to weather. We have somewhat veered away from temperature and wind and other things that people like to monitor. We really stick with precipitation. And one of the other things that we've stuck with throughout the time is the use of doing just a manual measurement. So we're not depending on automated weather stations mounted on our rooftops. We've got, and I've got it in the background here, this manual gauge that our volunteers use to measure rain, and when snow happens, you take the funnel and the inner tube out and you let the snow fall in the outer cylinder, and then you melt that and measure the water content of the snow that you received.
I was about to ask you about that because I forgot what you do for snow. I was like, how does it actually go in there? Awesome. So for that device too, and I know some of you all don't necessarily have community partners yet, or you work at a library. We'll talk about other methods to participate in it as well. But if you're familiar with Rain Gauge or your community already has one, they are very cool. I bought one for my dad for Father's Day a couple years back, and he enjoys witnessing the different measurements where he is. So big fan. So how did this come to be CoCoRaHS, since it is a community-based organization that works together? How did this actually come to be?
Right. So it actually started just about 26 years ago now. There was a flood event that happened right here where I work in Fort Collins at Colorado State University. And at the time, it was the internet was just starting to form, and what used to take a number of months of literally knocking on people's doors asking if they had a bucket in their backyard. Can we stick a ruler in your bucket? And that's how they used to do it, to do a storm assessment, um, not that long ago. And people started saying, well, we could use the internet and put rain gauges out and report and start a little citizen science project. And that's how it all started. It was a little bit of a co-created type of citizen science project. And I know you all who are ambassadors have studied citizen science and know the different types of projects, whether they're kind of top down or bottom up. And CoCoRaHS is sometimes considered a little bit of each, where top down for some of the initial needs, but and also the science protocol, but also bottom up from um, well, one a specific example is that we actually started with just rain and hail, and our volunteers said, no, we want to do snow also. And we developed a protocol for them to do snow, which was, we were not so confident that people would be able to do snow, and it turned out they proved us wrong.
Wow, awesome. I'm actually not sure how much folks on the line know about the differences between the top down and bottom up levels. I've actually never had to describe that to someone. So for the folks on the call, I'm glad you got to hear that example. But a lot of these citizen science projects are just like that. They'll either come from the scientist who just needs help on a project that exists, or it comes out of a community need, and so it'll be built in various different ways. Or there's even people who are on a citizen science project who um, are determined that there's a question to be had within a citizen science project, excuse me, and that'll build an entirely new citizen science project because they've determined a need with more data within a different project. That actually happened to Burst Chaser, which is in an event next week for Do NASA Science Live. So if you're interested in that, come to that one too. So when we talk about the rain gauges, we talk about community focus. Is there a reason why we want to use manual measurements as opposed to what we have across the nation with like formal weather stations? Like, what's the big benefit?
Sure. No, good question. And I guess what it all boils down to, especially with precipitation, is that the automated instrumentation, unless you're spending thousands of dollars, is just not that good. We really, there's nothing that beats the manual measurement of someone using their eyeballs or in other cases, even weighing the instrument. We do have visually impaired volunteers, so you don't have to be able to see to do this either. Um, but yeah, it's all about the manual measurement, and it's just a tried and true method that they've been using this type of rain gauge, a much kind of bigger and clunkier one, twice the size of this one, started out in the late 1800s. And starting in about the 1960s or so, they designed this one that was a lot easier to use. This is the National Weather Service I'm talking about. And so it's really a matter of, our data are trusted by the National Weather Service because we are using the manual gauge. Um, yes, they look at other sources, and people have Weather Underground and other automated um, weather stations, but the true users of the data know that precipitation data from automated gauges is not trusted.
Wow. Okay, I'm learning more than I thought I would. And I'm
And
getting nervous about my measurements that I get from weather apps and such.
No, you're fine. Third graders do this. I want to reiterate, this is easy to do. I apologize to everyone. My camera is flashing. I don't know why, but I've just have
It
an
keeps it
issue with this
fun.
camera, so I apologize.
Wakes people up if they're looking aside. So actually you mentioned third graders. I'm curious, who are the volunteers? Like what range of ages, what areas of the US, are there areas of need, etc.?
Right. We're in all 50 states. We are open to all ages and backgrounds. If you're under 13, you do need a parent or guardian, basically because we require an email address, and you need to be 13 according to internet laws to have an email address. Um, we have a need almost everywhere. We have this is where I want you all to kind of, you know, think about it in your own terms, and where you've probably seen it. You can look out the window sometimes and it's raining over there and not on me. And it's the variability from 1 mile to the next, even 1 block to the next, can sometimes be different. And the National Weather Service, they don't have enough weather stations to go around, and so it's kind of like the more pixels in your camera, the better photo you're going to have. The more pixels that we can have of on our maps, the better resolution we'll have of the precipitation that falls. And I keep on mentioning the National Weather Service. They use our data a lot of times for ground truthing what their radars and satellite think that they are seeing. They're not always accurate, and they need people on the ground to verify what those uh, radars and satellite were estimating. Um, and then also there's tons of other applications when it comes to river forecast centers or snow analysis. It's all super important for lots of applications, and our data are uh, now in all these resources, basically at the fingertips of all the scientists out there. If you join CoCoRaHS, your data become a part of all of that.
Wow, that's awesome. I need to get my dad to actually submit more data. He's done very minimal and he needs to figure that out. But there's an app now, which actually I wasn't going to mention until later, but I was excited to hear at SciAct that there's now an app version of submitting data instead of going online to do it. Because I had actually tried to find it online earlier, trying to find the an immediate link, and then I had to jump into a meeting and realized it was not as quick as using the app. So good to know. Good to know
Nice.
for people. All right, so if there are any questions about like the general idea of where CoCoRaHS came from and etc., please submit them into the chat for us.
So there was one
Oh
question.
yeah.
Let me just bump it up. Can they be purchased on Amazon?
Yeah, very good question. They can be, but you do need to be careful because there are a couple of knockoffs out there. They're selling them for a little cheaper, and it's maybe enticing to spend less money. But you can get them for as cheap as maybe 35 or $40 on Amazon. What I just want to mention is that you just want to find the ones with the clear tops. There are some knockoffs that look like these that have either dark black or green plastic tops, and those are the ones that won't meet our specifications. But that's Amazon and free shipping and all that, but we do have links on our website to the vendors that sell them, and they've got offers for free shipping. And there's a couple of different models of rain gauges to choose from. One I would call kind of one the fancy Ferrari model that is more like $60, and then the more basic one here is like 45 or 50. And um,
Yeah.
but when it comes to like if you're as you all as ambassadors, if you're talking to a library, there are oftentimes resources out there, whether from us at CoCoRaHS or elsewhere, where we can find a group that is interested enough and uses the data that would say, hey, we'll buy that library a rain gauge because we need more data in that area. So there are ways to get rain gauge donations for a library if it comes to that. But otherwise, we're looking at about $50, no matter how you slice it, Amazon or one of the other approved vendors.
And in terms of the potential we need this area covered question, is that something we would reach out to you about, or is that somewhere on the website as well?
Yeah, as far as again, I mean, I kind of briefly say we're looking for more people wherever you are, but
Yeah.
to when it really comes down to it, if you're in a densely populated area, we sometimes need more data from there, because people live in more like high-rise type of buildings, and you can't put a rain gauge out on your balcony. But if there's a library around, there's a little bit of open space, and there's a great place to put a rain gauge right in the middle of a city. And then the other side of the coin is we're really always looking for data in rural areas where we're data sparse on all fronts.
Mm.
One dot per county is sometimes all we can hope for in certain areas of the country. And so rural areas in particular are always in need.
Gotcha. And there were a couple of points in the chat as well of potential ways to get access to funding. Garden clubs might support a rain gauge purpose. Thanks, Robin. And Jessica also mentioned maybe stream teams or rafting companies would donate, since you mentioned river forecasts. Yeah, so if you can make the case to someone, a community partner near you, I bet you can figure that out too. I wouldn't let that be a detriment to your participation. Although there are some other ways that we'll talk about without a rain gauge, how you can still engage with CoCoRaHS in the data as well. So we'll get to that in a second here. Noah, quick question. Would you like to show the video first or go to that first page of the recipe card?
Sure. Let's go ahead and just watch that video. And it's a link that's on the recipe card, and it's 2.5 minutes. It's a little bit of what I've already explained, but it's a fun piece, and let's spend 2.5 minutes and check it out.
CoCoRaHS, the Community Collaborative Rain, Hail, and Snow Network. If you don't know already, CoCoRaHS is a grassroots volunteer network made up of people of all ages and backgrounds who measure and map precipitation, be it rain, hail, or snow. The CoCoRaHS mission is twofold: to provide quality precipitation data as well as educational opportunities. Using low-cost measuring tools, volunteers figure out how much precipitation fell in their backyard. Then, they go to the CoCoRaHS interactive website, which shows how much precipitation fell and where it hit. Observers provide this information daily and in real time for alerts of extreme weather events. Each measurement is like a pixel in a picture, and the more pixels, the better the resolution of where the precipitation did and did not fall. And what does that picture tell us? Rain doesn't fall the same on all. Precipitation can vary inches from just blocks away. The information our observers provide is used by various groups within the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, including the National Weather Service, who uses the data for river forecasting, to verify radar estimates, and to improve on local forecasts and warnings, among other things. Also, the National Drought Mitigation Center for drought impacts, the National Hurricane Center to describe the overall impacts of tropical cyclone events, farmers, gardeners, and naturalists for crop and botany health, coastal fisheries for safe harvesting of shellfish, mosquito control, and schools for education and research, just to name a few. Even some Major League Baseball clubs have started measuring and using the data at their ballparks. With your help, we can all better understand the anatomy of a storm, which can directly provide early warnings of potential hazardous storms in your community. Here are 5 easy steps to get started. 1. Simply sign up on the CoCoRaHS webpage, www.cocorahs.org. 2. Obtain a 4-inch diameter high-capacity rain gauge. The info for getting one is on the website. 3. View the online training slideshow or attend a training session. 4. Set up the gauge in a good location in your yard. 5. Start observing precipitation and report online daily. It's cheap, it's easy, and it's fun. We need your help, so come and join us, and soon you'll be just like us. Cuckoo for CoCoRaHS.
I love that, cuckoo for CoCoRaHS.
So that's a fun overview, and it goes over everything that we just talked about, and it's really a kind of obviously you saw it there. It's really digestible to all audiences, and it's a quick and easy sell to get folks interested in participating.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah.
We had one question in the chat. Do most people observe daily at their homes, or is it certain frequencies?
Yeah, I mean, so 2 parts of that question. At their homes, yes, most of the people do it at home, but some people do it at work or their school or whatever. And then 2, daily, that's ideally you would do it every day at the same time, but we also know that people have their lives to live, and so if you're gone for a weekend or a week or whatever, there's options to submit what's called multi-day accumulation reports. Or you just skip it for the winter or whatever. Like you're not required to report every single day. So we've got tons of volunteers that only do it when it rains, and we can't beg them enough to submit their zeros. But what we tell you is that if you do get in the habit of doing it every day, including those zeros, now your data turn not just valuable for daily use by the National Weather Service, but we're talking climate research, and beyond. And drought, it talked about in the video as well. Those zeros are gold to drought scientists who need complete data sets. If you've got a month of data and it's just here and there rain reports, they can't assume that it didn't rain when you didn't report. But if you've got zeros on those dry days, now you've got a whole month of complete data, and that is climate gold.
Mhm. I'm in drought-prone Southern California. Oh, Darren, I hope that's right, you're UCLA too. I hope you're in a safe place. When we get rain, it often comes in short bursts. By the time I get home, the rain in, oh, USC, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The rain in the gauge may have evaporated. I have half the knowledge half the time.
Good question there. And so that's part of what this funnel on top does, is it prevents some of the evaporation from happening. But our California volunteers are not only used to zeros a lot, but they're also the king of the trace. And that is, if you witness raindrops at your location, but it's not enough to actually accumulate to the first hundredth of an inch in your rain gauge, then you can report a trace, and that counts as a trace, but it doesn't add up to any actual amounts. But it's important for scientists. Again, they're looking at a radar and they see precipitation up in the sky. They don't know if those drops are actually landing on the ground unless there's people there to verify and say, yes, those raindrops all made it all the way to the ground. And that's valuable science.
Oh, wow. And Darren, I'm so sorry that January is the rainy season. There's nothing there because that's valuable climate data is the most positive thing we can say about that right now. Excellent. Oh, and I gotta admit people too. So, on the screen, a lot of you may be already familiar with the event recipe cards. We made one recently to go along with CoCoRaHS to support you, and we'll give you the link to get to the event recipe cards as well after showing you the rest of these. But we're gonna walk through it to just show you what it might be like to do an event related to CoCoRaHS. So. It starts with the background. I don't know if there's more to mention about the background that we haven't already, so I'll go ahead and skip it. And it directs you to the SciStarter site, so if you want to use a SciStarter specific one, which is always a good idea in the case of someone speaking who is from SciStarter, but of course there's the regular website as well, and Roland just dropped the SciStarter link in the chat in case you want to take a look to see what the difference is as well. And of course the ages, do you want to talk a little bit about event timing and location based on what you've seen facilitators do or seen regular volunteers do?
Well, like we've touched on this a little bit, but you set up your gauge. Once you're all set up, it really is just, I mean, we say 5 minutes a day, but it can really be 30 seconds. So it's easy to do and doesn't take long at all to actually read your gauge and submit your data once you're all set up.
Yeah. So if you're running an event, for example, this might be an event to set up the gauge as like, here's why we're doing this, or maybe it's when it's already set up, it's a conversation about climate and other ways to engage with climate, and then it culminates in taking an actual measurement and whatnot. So you can kind of be creative about that. Um, and yes. So preparation wise, if you've seen on other event recipe cards, these are generalized as like things that are good to do ahead of time. One of which you've definitely already done, which is the foundations training, and then seeing the CoCoRaHS project page is always a good way to start it. And we just watched the animated video. Um, do you want to, or
I just
I
had a
guess,
thought. Can I just share a thought? Oh, I'm a
yeah.
headless. I'm a headless voice because I'm not pinned.
Oh,
But with something that Noah had just, which was so salient, is like we need data every day, even if it's not raining, because how do you know if it's not raining? And thinking about the event, like something that you could do during that event is create a schedule. And like assignments and like have people be responsible for certain days. I think that's just a really important point that needs to be included somewhere. If it's not already included in this recipe card, I think it needs to be included.
I'm writing it down as we speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll add it right after. These are live documents, so you'll see them adjust over time if there are big changes that are made. So if you ever download any, just be aware that to get the most current copy, definitely go back to the Google Drive.
And I would say, speaking of maybe in the word event in this context too, if if we're talking like there's a public event at the library and there's little like booths to kind of advertise different things, there's totally a cool way. I mean, you don't even need to necessarily bring it mounted, but having a rain gauge at a table and just even with a little bucket and a sponge, and so
Yeah,
let people like, especially the kids, wring out a
love that.
cloud to fill up the rain gauge and see how it works. That's a neat way to display the rain gauge and talk about the value of citizen science data when it comes to precipitation.
I'm gonna make it even one step cooler. You could use colorful water, and that way it's even more,
Ooh.
and then it's fun. This is I was at a science center for 7 years, so I think like a science center, like a museum person. But yes, that sounds like a really fun hands-on way to demonstrate it.
While we're at it, if anyone else has ideas about this, feel free to drop it in the chat as we keep going because these are great ideas. What do you use to color the water so it doesn't stain anything? Oh, good question.
I think regular color like
Food dye?
yeah, food dye doesn't stain, I don't think.
Maybe not red. I would avoid
I
red.
guess you
Or
could test.
yellow. I think I'd avoid yellow
Yeah,
too.
true. But yellow definitely not. Yellow definitely not. But I think it would probably be fine. Or if you want to go the au natural route, you could do some kind of fruit or something.
Throw a pomegranate seed in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Inkjet printer cartridges.
Not yes,
Oh,
yes,
Susie.
definitely that. Open up a Sharpie and dump the Sharpie right up in there. It'll be fine. No. I think food dye. Food dye I think would be the best option.
I'm sure that could probably work.
Choose your favorite color. Awesome. And then at the last part for preparation, you may have already seen the program planning tool that's been built for you all for Citizen Science Month, and also as a library network user, we have a version for library specific. So, and that one will also be dropped in the chat by Roland. Thank you for dropping that most recent link. That'll help you kind of map out what you actually want to accomplish during an event like this. Okay. Now I'm going to pause and send it to you again of what you would recommend for setting the stage for an event like this. Because I know you added the icebreaker. You being Noah, sorry.
Oh, right, gotcha. Yeah. So setting the stage, again, having the talking to folks just about the common occurrence of watching it rain on one side of the street, but not the other. And then even on a broader sense of because we talked about some of you are from California, and what's normal for us where we live is a good icebreaker to talk about. How much rain do you think we get in a year? And how much rain do you think they get over there in Florida per year? And we've got the answers to those questions at your fingertips on our website. I'll show you a quick tour here in a second.
And then as we go through setting the stage, these are also very much, as you're sensing, I'm assuming it's up to you. It's your own creativity. I'm taking notes right now to make sure we can embellish this recipe card to be even better and include more ideas. So if you have thoughts, just think through the most creative thing and share it with others too. And then there is a note about sharing where the project what originated and such, and that video is a great way to kind of give a broad sweep of what the project is too. So I'm glad that that is in existence. So for project participation, I don't know if we want to go through all, you'll probably do you want to pause to do the tour of the website?
Yeah, and I mean, if you show the third part of this thing, this recipe card, even from here, you'll see that it's really just a little bit of a wrap up of, checking out the site and everything. So these links I'd really like to share with you live if possible. I won't show the data entry video, but I will show you if you're ready for me to share my screen. I will do the CoCoRaHS website, and I already know how to kind of navigate through, so don't mind me on exactly where I'm clicking here, but when you're installing your equipment, one thing that I really highlight for folks maybe at a library is something that where you don't have to dig a hole and pour concrete. And so whether it's a $2 post from Home Depot that can go into the ground, a Christmas tree holder, or if you really want to get really fancy,
I like
awesome little flower pot with a buried post and a bucket of rocks is a great way to make it happen. And that way you can move it if needed or display it at an event. But what I want to show you, some of the links involved were about sharing data. And when you go to our website, our interactive map is front and center. And you do not have to be logged in. You don't have to be a member. This is free and open to the public. How much did it snow in Florida? Well, we're going to click on the map. I'm going to choose the map options and choose snowfall. And as we zoom in, the numbers will come alive and we can see, look at that, 8 inches in southern Louisiana,
That's
9.4
wild. Like,
inches.
that's actually wild.
Or
That's
yeah,
never
that's
been
in Florida,
recorded in
sorry.
history,
Is
right?
Louisiana. Yeah, I mean, yeah, first time
In
most
history,
snow
yeah.
to fall in some of these places here.
I saw Bourbon Street. It looked like
Ten,
empty for the
there we
first time
are,
I've
10
ever
and a
seen
half
it empty.
inches in New Orleans.
That's crazy.
If you click on that, you can see the actual report, and this volunteer even added some beautiful notes. We're stoked about that. But what I also want to mention is that any dot on this map that you find, you can click on the Data Explorer and immediately go to that station and find out all sorts of information. How much have they got for the month? How much they've received for the year? This volunteer has submitted 634 observations since they joined. But if we look at the climatology tab, again, these are data resources. Just, I'm giving you a lot of information here. But what's normal for Louisiana? Well, now we can see they get 60, somewhere between 63 and 65 inches of water of rain per year. And this snowstorm has obviously put them above average for the for the year to date. And well, the month and the year to date so far are the same. But if you go back to our map, you click on a dot in California, you can then look up the climatology and see how much you can expect on any given month or for the whole year at your location. So those are some brief things. I know we've got 7 minutes to go. The other thing I want to point out is what you can do if you don't want to actually get a rain gauge. So I'm clicking on maps, and there's another map that we've got called condition monitoring. And this is a way that you can submit a report. You can join us and submit a report, and you don't have to be measuring rain. What you're doing is you're reporting your drought conditions. And we've overlaid our volunteers' reports, all these triangles, with the drought conditions that are drawn on the US Drought Monitor map every week. And for those of you who are familiar with this drought map, they use our data as some of the ways to figure out where these drought lines should be. And so you can see this volunteer has a severely dry category, and you can see that the US Drought Monitor certainly agrees with them on that. So this is just one way that you can participate without owning a rain gauge. And the other are what we call significant weather reports and hail reports. And so if you have hail, you can, I clicked on the wrong thing. You can submit a hail report. I'm not going to click through it, but we've got real-time reports that you can submit, and it'll literally ring alarms in your National Weather Service office. So if you're getting hail and you want someone in authority to know about it, as a CoCoRaHS observer, you can submit a hail report, and it'll go real time to your local National Weather Service office, ring alarms, and they have been known to take CoCoRaHS data and issue alerts, severe thunderstorm warnings, or whatever it might be, because of CoCoRaHS reports coming in. So you've got the power as a CoCoRaHS volunteer to actually save lives in your community. I will stop sharing, and that leaves us with 4 minutes to go. I apologize.
No, this is perfect. And we did make these 45 minutes so we can make sure we respect everyone's time of like, this is a workshop to get to the nitty-gritty of things. And so if you do have follow-up questions or you want to test this out, I would definitely explore the website, sign up with an email so you can actually see everything and where you actually submit data. And so if you need assistance with any of this, connect with us. We'll work with you to figure out what's going on. Noah, oh, cool. 25,000 active volunteers right now. Very cool.
Probably a little bit
About.
more than that. Probably
Sweet.
26 or 27,000.
And now another 20 something of people who are here. 26 people.
Hopefully.
Yeah. And I know there will be more questions, so we'll try to get to them too. But I did want to show you all this link. It will change, or like these pictures or the event cards will change, and especially after tonight, so I can add in a couple more thoughts based on today's conversation. But if you want to see all the recipe cards, the link is here and will be dropped in the chat too by Roland for you. And there were a couple questions I want to make sure that are answered of, do you report only once a day or significant events only? And so it sounds like consistency is great. And
right. If you don't have a gauge, then you can report significant events only, specifically really hail especially. But if you do have a gauge, we hope that you get in the habit of doing it daily, but it's not required.
Okay.
But it's a 24-hour measurement is typically what you do. So, you know, it's a once a day type of thing. You're typically not tracking, here's how much I collected for the whole week, unless you leave town, then you can do that. But it's a 24-hour measurement, and everything is pretty optional other than you got to have the right type of rain gauge.
Okay, gotcha. And then actually it sounds like we might need to send a little bit more information on when you don't have a rain gauge, what are the other, like how the measurements work. So after this event, since we don't have a ton of time, I'll work with Noah to get like a good like paragraph for y'all to explain those things, because that might be more helpful. It sounds a significant event in addition to daily report. So if you have a rain gauge and you also have a significant event happening, the rain gauge theoretically covers the report of significant things happening.
Yeah, but you can do both. You submit your daily report, but if it's coming down cats and dogs, you want them to know that, hey, I've gotten a half an inch in the last 15 minutes, you can submit one of those significant weather reports, and it'll go real time. But then the next morning, you'd want to still report what you got for that 24-hour period.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we'll send out a little bit more information too about that, which hopefully will help too. I'll keep this chat so I can make sure I answer these questions. For all of you most of you are certified ambassadors, before you leave, I wanted to give you a quick update on resources for you. And then we will say our goodbyes and thank Noah for his time. But if you are on the ambassador site on SciStarter, you can hit on for ambassadors and it'll take you to the page that has the handbook and then direct links to the Google folders that are specific to planning event, promoting event, etc. As you scroll down the page. That was in the wrong spot. So if you are looking forward to next things after this event and why we do these things and all those goals, we wanted to give you a couple of reminders. And one of them was already covered, that welcome to, or the cohort 2 welcome kits being shipped. If you had your bio approved, you were in that shipment of welcome kits going out, so you should get it soon. If your bio is not approved yet, please email me so I can make sure to get that on there. Next month, we have an Ambassador Insight Series workshop on Citizen Science Month, so you are very welcome to join for that one, and Roland just dropped the link in the chat to register if you haven't already. And then I'm going backwards apparently, but if you are already starting to plan for April, maybe you want to invest in a rain gauge for this, please share your thoughts with us. Send it on the Facebook chat or register your planned and confirmed events on SciStarter at event. The moment you have it on there, we can help promote it for you. It'll end up on your directory profile too, to show what projects or which events and programs you plan and all the above. We do have upcoming events, so if you do want to join us for the Do NASA Science Live event, that is here. Oh, Darren, you have to go to SciStarter.org/ambassadors first. And I'll type that in the chat for you. SciStarter.org/ambassador.
It could be an issue with.
Oh, are you signed in?
Are you logged in? Make sure you're logged in.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not logged in, it should still show up though. The only difference is that
That's
the
true.
handbook wouldn't show up. So hopefully it's
Okay,
not that.
Darren's
Yeah.
got it.
Okay, sweet. Perfect. And then we also have an event for libraries for the summer reading program partnership that we have with StarNet as well. And that'll be on February 4th. So if you want to join us for that, you can register with that link that Roland just dropped in the chat, like an awesome human. Thank you, Roland, who is currently dealing with a 2 a.m. time right now. Sorry, Roland. And then, of course, Citizen Science Month. So I just want to push this in front of your face every time we meet, which is just silly. But I'm glad that you all are here and interested in helping a program for April and beyond for your community. So amazing. I went through that really fast. So if you have any questions, feel free to let me know about all those things. But I'm so glad you all
I'm
are here.
sending out a reminder email tomorrow with everything, so you
Okay,
don't need to
perfect.
remember everything right now.
Oh, yeah.
As we were going through things, I was like, oh, I need to add that. I need to add that. So look out for that tomorrow, friends.
Yeah. And Noah, thank you so much
Yes, Noah,
for being
thank
here with
you.
us. That was super helpful.
I
It
just
was
put my
really
email in
insightful.
the chat too, noah@cocorahs.org if anyone has any questions.
So difficult to remember.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I was born to measure the rain, that's for sure. So
I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording. If any of you had more questions, I'm going to go ahead and permit you all to unmute and show your screen if you would like to. I'll be here for another couple minutes for any extra questions you might have.